All right, welcome. Hey, it's the Genesee County Compassion Club show. Thanks for joining me today. How you guys doing out there? I can hear you. I can hear you. I can feel it. John, got John in the studio with me back there. Man behind the camera. What's up, John?
Not much, just looking at you in this one camera and saying, wow, you look good. You look normal in this one. And I switched it over and you look really orange.
Yeah, I got the turn up thing going on.
Yeah.
Like, what's up? What's up?
All that carrot
Back
juice.
to pale
Carrot,
to
carrot.
red. Pale, red.
I call it the carrot juice stage, you know.
Yeah, I've been loading up on my beta carotene. Did you know carrots have not always been orange?
Yes, they're purple.
Yeah,
They're really purple.
They bred it out of them.
It's like a, you know, what came first though? The color or the fruit? Orange, you know. Orange, you know, what was it came first? Orange or you know.
I don't
They had
know.
the house of orange, but
Huh.
yeah, I don't know. It's one of those perplexing things for me.
So many questions. All right, well, we're here to answer your questions about medical marijuana here in Michigan. Going to let you know what's been happening around the country with different medical marijuana initiatives, laws, stuff like that. Also, give you updates on what's been happening down at the Genesee County Compassion Club. It's been a wonderful week. It's absolutely gorgeous outside. I mean, it's a good day not just to be a human, but also a good day to be a marijuana plant. It's like the perfect temperature, perfect humidity, everything. It's just gorgeous. So get out there and enjoy the rest of summer. There's not much of it left, that's for sure. John, how you been doing, man? It's been going down here in this Flint Talk Studios.
Been pretty busy. I mean, well, sometimes the shows like go up on time, but sometimes, but I mean, we got a lot of shows going up, so we got
Absolutely.
a lot of stuff going on. So.
I know you've been covering lots of stuff having to do with the upcoming elections
Yeah.
and so on.
And then later at 6 o'clock today, we're going to have another thing with the Citizens of Governance or something like that, the
Yeah.
organization. So if you are interested in Flint politics, definitely tune into that with Terry Bankert. So
There you go. So yeah, that's coming up here. What time does that start, John?
around 6 p.m. to
There you
7.
go.
So
And that's with Terry Bankert. So check that out if you can. Always good to keep yourself in tune with what's going on here in the city of Flint. Hey, let's get back to the Compassion Club. It's like I said, it's been going good down there. It's a fantastic time. We had our golf outing this last Monday, and I think I threw my neck out. I'm sitting kind of funny from it. But we had our second annual G3C golf outing that was at Swartz Creek Golf Club here in Flint. Explain that one to me, John. Why is it called the Swartz Creek Golf Club, and it's like right in Flint?
I think it's because
Is it because the creek runs through the golf course?
Yeah, it runs through it. Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. That's what I could tell. I mean, then it goes on further, and they got a white spot on the road, and they call it Swartz Creek, Michigan.
Right
Yeah.
on. Yeah. All right. Well, at any rate, we had a fun time. It was the second annual golf outing that we had for the G3C. It was good turnout, and I think we had some good scores out there. I think the best team was 4 under par for 18 holes, so that's pretty solid. Definitely got some golfers on our membership. So, but a lot of thanks to George Hernandez for putting that together. We definitely appreciate it. All had lots of fun out there, and we had some prizes for the closest to the pin shot. And I'm not sure who won that. I think it was Matt B. That was the name on the sign that I saw. Taking home both of them actually. So congratulations to Mr. Matt for being our closest to the pin champion there. And again, thank you to George for putting that on. It was a lot of fun. Looking forward to our next year's event, of course, the G3C annual golf outing. But lots of good times.
That's a fundraiser as well, right?
No, actually, it's just for fun.
Oh, just for fun.
So we're raising fun.
Raising fun. F-U-N.
Right.
Okay, not F-U-N-D.
No D's.
Now, did you play golf a lot before you started this?
Not at all. Not at all. This is the second time I've golfed in probably about 6-7 years. Maybe, yeah, probably right around
I
there.
thought in your first life maybe you had to do that. You're in the business world. That seems to be.
And that's exactly why it's been 6 or 7 years since I've been in the business world. So, and that was about the only time I ever golfed in the past. Anyways, I'm just not real big on golfing. I've got a terrible shot. Of course, it's probably due to lack of practice and so on, or just the fact that I'm not any good at the sport. But I do have fun. It was a good time to get out there with the other members, hang out, have some fun, and spend some money on balls. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I just. Some people get obsessed with it. I mean, I can understand it. There's a beauty to sitting, walking around, looking on the course, and
Sure.
seeing the way the land rolls around.
Yeah, and even this course here, which is what it used to be maintained by the city of Flint, now it's maintained by some other private group, I believe. But it was nice. I mean, it's an inner city golf course. It's seen better days, I'm sure, but not too bad. I mean, it was still nice to be out. It's a beautiful day, and
We had a hell of a lot of golf courses for a city with, so like usually it's for the upper crust, allegedly, and we for a working class town. we had a lot of them. I mean, we had Pierce, which is pretty going back to hayseed. I mean,
Yeah.
to basically, I love the property. It runs alongside of 69 there, then by Court Street.
Sure.
I love that property, but it's still, they closed that up a few years
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of nice courses in the area. That was certainly a good time to get out. And again, thanks for everybody to coming out and having fun. It was a good time. Our next big event that we've got coming up at the Genesee County Compassion Club is the annual G3C Chili Cook-Off. Chili Cook-Off. That's going to be October 18th. So mark that down on your calendars. It's also going to be one of our cannabis cups. So caregivers, patients, get your meds ready. We'll be doing a cup event at the Chili Cook-Off on October 18th. So put that down. Should be lots of fun. The prizes for both chili and cannabis.
And you have to be a member to go to the chili cook-off thing, right?
Yes, you do.
Okay,
Yep.
that's sad because that part I'd like to. I've always heard so much about the chili cook-offs. I'd like to see that.
John, if you come down to the club on the 18th, I will bring you out a bowl of chili.
Okay, bring a bowl. Bring my own bowl, though, right?
Yeah, you can bring your own bowl if you want. We'll supply one to you if you can.
There's my special wooden spoon that I carved down from a bigger spoon. No.
I can see you having a wood spoon that you hand carved, John. I can just see you having that. All right, guys. That's the events that we have coming up. Oh, also, don't want to forget upcoming event here in the near future, Soup Kitchen. I always have that every month. That's coming up here pretty soon. It is September the 5th. It's the first Friday of the month, so mark that down again. If you don't already have it on your calendars, we could use some volunteers. It's actually just 2 Fridays away, so it's actually a little sooner than I thought. So a week from this coming Friday, September 5th, we have the Soup Kitchen down at the North End Soup Kitchen, and we like to serve it up. So help us out if you can. We'd definitely like to see you there. All right, that's it for events. And other than that, oh yeah, I do have some info from the lab at the G3C. For you guys have been watching, and for those of you down at the club, or I'm sure you're well aware, we are now doing testing. We've got the full mass spectrometer cooking back there, and our man in the lab, Sean, is making it happen. We've got awesome results getting kicked out of there every day. And let's see, this last week here, make special mention, Gary. That's our snack bar, our very own Gary. You guys see him there every morning. Gary at the snack bar hit it big this last week with an OG 18, and he went one better because his was 19%. So you could call his OG 19, but that was tested here this last week in the lab by Sean. Congrats to Gary. You're our bud of the week here at the G3C, the 18, OG 18. And let's see here. I got the full results. Let me pull them up. It was 19.19, so that's kind of cool. 19% THC. And then, let's see here. What else do we have? A little mix of CBDs, 0.44% CBD, and 0.27% CBN. So overall, he was at 19.9% cannabinoids found in his OG 18. So I bet that's some pretty tasty stuff. OG 18, I love the flavor of that stuff. It's just killer. Keeps you coming back for more. So Gary, good job, Gary. Keep it growing, buddy. There's some awesome work you're doing there. And for the rest of you out there, get your samples in. Let's get them tested. Let's find out who's got the best. I think last week I reported the sample there was an OG Kush sample. It was 19% as well. So who can break 20? Who can break the big 20 at the lab? Get your buds over there. Let's find out who's got it. All right, I got some news and info that's been happening on medical marijuana. Let you know it's been going around, on and around the state. If you guys didn't see the article, it was actually on MLive, and this is kind of daunting. There's 2 different ballot initiatives that have already been approved by local city councils. One up in Mount Pleasant, and another in oh gosh, it's escaping me now. Mount Pleasant and Saginaw. Yeah, Saginaw. How could I forget about that? Anyways, these 2 cities here, they have some local volunteers who got together some ballot initiatives, gathered the signatures, enough signatures out there to get an initiative on the ballot regarding marijuana decriminalization within the city limits. Now, the uproar about this, the reason for it being in the paper and so on, was that Rick Snyder and the governor, Rick Snyder, and also our state attorney general, Bill Schuette, issued letters to the city councils of both these places, Mount Pleasant and Saginaw, and urging them to not allow these initiatives to be on the ballot. They're basically voicing their disapproval of these. And the reason that they listed their disapproval was because on the ballot it did not specify that this decriminalization of marijuana for city limits would have no effect on state law and that it would still be illegal under state and federal law. So I think that most of the voters out there are well aware of this fact. However, the governor and the state attorney general felt it would be necessary to point this out on the initiative that voters will be voting on here in November. So this is one of the many initiatives that we've seen go across the state. It's not the first. It is the first time we've seen a response like this from our administrators. However, it's not the first time this initiative has been brought up or passed. And it seems to be working out just fine in other areas, like here in Flint, or in other areas like Kalamazoo, Ann Arbor, so on. It doesn't really seem to be causing confusion by any means, either with the citizens in that area or with the police officers. So I'm not really sure why there's all of a sudden this alarm or these letters being sent out by the gov. But at any rate, the Saginaw City Council looks like they basically filed the letter, said, yeah, we have duly noted your opinions here, Mr. Governor and Attorney General. However, we're going to go ahead and put these on the ballot anyways. So I'm not sure if Mount Pleasant is feeling the same way. I think it is scheduled to be on the ballot, so they'd have to repeal what they've already passed if they were to take these into account, these letters. But at any rate, I don't know. I think that the local voting population there, in Saginaw, Mount Pleasant, is fully aware that this doesn't change state law by passing a local initiative, that it has no effect on federal law. And I think that goes without explaining. So we'll see how this goes. Sounds like it's not going to make much of an impact, at least in Saginaw. And if anything changes in the Mount Pleasant area, we'll keep you posted here on the G3C show. So at any rate, I know Carrie Justice put a lot of work into that. She's a club member, so kudos to Carrie for getting that on the ballot in Saginaw. It is a momentous thing. It keeps the population more in tune with, I guess what I should say is it keeps the laws more in tune with the population. And I think that most people would voice their opinion, and we'll have to see here come in November. So at any rate, that's the news for what's happening in Michigan. Not a whole lot else happening around the state. We had just a basic stuff going on here in the medical marijuana market, if you will. I do have a couple things I want to share with you that are happening outside of Michigan, and let you know what's happening around the country. This is kind of some interesting news here that I wanted to share with you. This is from Iowa, and we covered this on the show back a few months ago. Iowa had passed a medical marijuana law into effect, and it was a CBD-only legislation. On top of that, there was a restriction that no one had the ability to actually produce any of this medication. The people who would be approved by their physicians for CBD-only use would have to travel outside of the state in order to be able to access their medication. So pretty far-fetched law, kind of interesting that the politicians went ahead and passed it. It really doesn't make a lot of sense. Even though they may be traveling to a medical marijuana friendly state and maybe one themselves, crossing state lines is still a federal law. So you're sort of damning your own population by telling them, yeah, it's okay to go ahead and do this. And this is one of the things that we discussed on the show. So at any rate, here these people are in Iowa who are now seeking out this medication, unable to really access it, and it's thrown up some red flags back in the legislature. So one of the people who passed this law is sort of, I don't want to say backpedaling, but yeah, in a way they are. Sally Greer, she's one of the most vocal people saying that the program isn't working. Well, maybe you should have passed a workable program the first time, Sally. But at any rate, she's trying to get some further legislation that would open up some of the rules in the program, and then maybe they'll be able to turn back around in a few months if they do get these other laws passed and say, well, this was a foot in the door sort of example to get things moving. Similar legislation is being passed across the country. We've seen an initiative in Oklahoma and Missouri, another one in New York, which was passed. So we'll have to see how this continues to go. The CBD only type medication that is out there oftentimes does contain other types of cannabinoids along with it, so thereby making it illegal in these states that have this CBD only type legislation. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense. I was kind of wondering if it was paving the way for big pharma to step in. Maybe a company like GW bringing their Epidiolex product, which is a CBD only spray, to market, and then legislatures in those states could say, well, here you go, there's your medication, now you got it. But the federal government hasn't changed their guidelines, so this is not available even through prescription type medications. And in Iowa's sense, they can't even produce their own. So we'll have to see how this goes.
I wonder if they do that with other compound drugs. Okay, and that's what I would consider marijuana to be. It's several compounds too. I mean, my dad was on
Sure.
my dad was on Dilatin, and most people are not aware, but that's a compound drug. That's got phenobarbital along with another drug,
Yeah.
and so that's a compound. So I guess they only allow it if This just opens the door for compounding. I mean, things that are crucial for people's treatment, compounding drugs, because they piggyback well together. That's exactly what marijuana does. It has to those chemicals have to be on top of each other actually to basically have the impact. So I mean, this opens the door for micro-regulation of prescription drugs too, in my opinion.
Well, I think they are pretty much. They probably regulated enough. I think people would probably argue that. I mean, but you're taking something that's naturally compounded and then telling them they have to separate that.
That's
and break
what
it
I'm saying.
apart.
But they can also do that. I think everything's regulated. I got a radical position basically. We got to look at how we license our so-called medical professionals anyway. But I kind of agree with Milton Friedman's position on that. So.
All right. Milton Friedman. I don't know. Okay, this is a study I want to share with you guys. I thought it was pretty cool. This was put out here by JAMA, Internal Medicine. Put out a study here, and what they're saying is that between 1999 and 2011, pain pill death rates, overdoses, is what we're talking about here, shot up over 118%. However, weed-friendly states had lower increases over the same period. So that's kind of interesting. It says here, in a report published yesterday, researchers have concluded that states that have legalized medical marijuana use have anywhere between 20 to 33% lowered rates of death due to overdosing on prescription medication. So I think, and they're saying that obviously people are starting to use cannabis as an alternative to the opiate-based medication and finding positive results of this, and also seeing that they're decreasing the death rates of the prescription use. So this is pretty cool. It says here it led to a potential drop of over 16% combined in the overdose death rate. So in states, again, that have medical marijuana available. That's pretty significant. And prescription pill deaths continue to be on the rise every single year. And the states also, another point in this survey here, is states that had longer periods of time, such as like California, showed further decreases of prescription pain pill deaths. So the longer they've had their medical marijuana law on the books, the greater the effect. So that's pretty cool. Let's see here. All right. This is from Canada. I always like to share what's going on up there. As you know, they have a commercial market up there for their medical patients. A couple companies that have jumped on the bandwagon here. Only 13 companies so far have been licensed by the Canadian government. Over 600 different applications have been received for the program. This one company, Bedrocan, their shares hit a high of $1.40 this morning on the Toronto Stock Exchange. Another company called Organigram reached a high of $2.40 on the Toronto Stock Exchange. It's kind of interesting that these companies here, they're kind of brand new, just getting started. It says here, Bedrocan currently supplies medical marijuana to 1,100 patients, and they reported over $100,000 in sales during the first 3 months of 2014. The interesting thing I found about the company here, Bedrocan, is that their parent company is in the Netherlands, and they're actually packaging and shipping their product to a site in Canada, in Toronto. And then they're like I said, then they at that site package it and then ship it out to their patients. They hope to have a facility built here by the end of 2014 so they can start cultivation in Canada, but currently they're just shipping it. So interesting there. Organigram, that's the other company I mentioned. They grow at their 20,000 square foot facility in Moncton in New Brunswick. They haven't started supplying patients yet, but they hope to differentiate themselves with a line of organic, specific, symptom-specific products. So, interesting. They say their first few batches of cannabis have already sold out. That's kind of a misnomer. On one hand, they say, well, we haven't started supplying anyone yet, but our first few batches are already sold out. Maybe they already have patients lined up waiting for their product or something like that that has been assigned to them by the Canadian government.
Kind of leaves you scratching your head, though. Like, okay.
Well, there's quite a few people in the program. The program up there had been running for a number of years prior to this adjustment and having these companies step in and take over distribution. So they may have been assigned to patients. I'm not really sure how that works. But at any rate, these companies are trading on the market, and it looks like they've had private investors get them started, and then from there now you can join in and invest if you want to as well. So there you go. That's the way it goes. All right, see what else we got here. We talked about the edibles ban that's in Canada. They're overdoing it. I think we talked about that last week there. All right, let's see here. Just a couple more things to share with you. Hey, if you guys ever have questions about Michigan medical marijuana, or if you have questions about gardening and whatnot, feel free to call in. You got our number right here. Just give us a ring, and we'll be glad to take any calls that you have. All right, this last story here, this is Fox News tells Colorado tourist to trade their extra pot for a Rockies jersey. Say what? This is a conservative slant. No surprise, most of the network's coverage about Colorado's legalization by Fox has been largely or wholly negative. Bill O'Reilly, correspondent Jesse Waters reports about 420 in Denver, which saw it last by characterizing attendees as clueless burdens on society. So it's surprising then to see Fox News essentially hyping marijuana tourism to Colorado in a new post with an unexpectedly positive tone. And it looks like they're giving out some jerseys for pot. I'll give more on the story here in just a second. All right, this is a video here from Fox News. It says 7 things you need to know about marijuana tourism. This guy outlines his top 7 under headings that include know there's a limit, don't overdo it, don't drive, period, don't leave the state with any marijuana, and look up state rules before heading out on your marijuana trip. So kind of like the wine tour thing in California.
Yeah, see, and then they got like snack shops every couple miles,
Right. Yeah. And the other category was don't even think about selling your excess stash. So if you go there, use it there, leave it there.
What goes on Colorado stays in Colorado.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. So, all right. Well, anyway, that's what I had for you in the news. There's not a whole lot going on across the country. It is summertime. People are getting out and enjoying the family and so on. But that's what we wanted to have shared with you this week. I appreciate you guys joining me, and we'll be back here next week at the Flint Talk Radio studio and broadcasting you live for the G3C show. So thanks for joining me this week. John, thanks for being in the studio. I appreciate it. We'll see you guys here this next week.